The diner buzzed softly with morning chatter and the occasional clatter of silverware. It was a cold Tuesday in Manhattan, the kind of day that made tempers short and patience thinner. The coffee machine steamed, pancakes crackled on the griddle, and in the middle of it all was Ray, 27 years old, black, composed, with eyes sharp from experience and a spirit hardened by hardship. Clad in a neat white apron, her hair tied into a smooth bun, she moved between booths with precision. She wasn't one for smiling, not because she was rude, but because life hadn't handed her many excuses to. Still, she carried herself with quiet grace and steady dignity. At booth 9, the mood had already begun to change. A white man in a crisp designer suit, with a Rolex glinting from beneath his sleeve, slapped his coffee cup onto the table. "Excuse me," he snapped. "Is this trash supposed to be coffee?" Ray breathed slowly and turned. "Good morning, sir. Would you prefer a new cup?" He scoffed. "A new cup? I'd prefer someone capable enough to serve it right the first time." A few customers paused. Some turned to look. Ray didn't react. She'd heard worse in this very place. People had whispered slurs. Once, someone left a note that said, "Your kind doesn't belong here." She knew racism in this city often wore suits and smiled. Still, she nodded. "I'll bring you a clean cup, sir." "No. You know what I really want," he barked, standing now. "I want to know how they let people like you work here." The room fell quiet. Even the kitchen sounds seemed to vanish. Ray stood rooted, fists clenched behind her, fingernails digging into her palms. He went on, louder. "People like you always act like you deserve something. That uniform doesn't make you one of us." She opened her mouth, but said zero. He kept going. "You're just a waitress. Probably can't even spell customer service. My dog has more control." A gasp rang out. A man in plaid looked ready to get up, but Ray raised her hand gently without turning. Then, she met the man's gaze. Her voice was even. "Sir, please sit down so I can perform my job." He laughed sharply. "Or what? You'll run and get your manager? I've controlled people like you my whole life." That was the breaking straw. Ray didn't think. Her body moved before her brain did. She stepped back, turned, and in one smooth motion, brought her leg up, crack. The heel of her shoe struck his chin. His head snapped back. He tumbled into the booth behind, stunned and shaken. Gasps echoed through the diner. A fork dropped to the floor. A waitress screamed. Someone yelled, "Call security." But no one budged. Ray stood firm, breathing heavily, hands trembling, but her gaze fixed on his. "You don't own anyone," she said clearly. "Not anymore." The man blinked, blood dripping from his lip. He looked around, expecting someone to defend him, the wealthy white man. But no one did. Instead, a single applause rose from the back. Then another. And soon, half the diner was clapping. "'Bout time," someone murmured. Ray turned, heart thudding in her chest. She didn't know what would come next, termination, maybe arrest. Phones were up. She spotted the blinking red light from someone filming. But for the first time in ages, she felt like she could exhale. Behind her, the man got up slowly, holding his jaw, fury flaring on his face. "You're done," he shouted. "Do you even know who I am? I'm Vincent Taro. You'll never work in this town again." Ray turned. "I've worked 3 jobs just to stay afloat. I don't care if I never serve another cup of coffee. But no one talks to me like that," and walks away. Just then, the diner's door swung open. A tall woman in a sleek navy coat hurried in, worry written across her pale face. "Vincent," she called. "What happened?" He pointed at Ray. "She attacked me." The woman blinked, glancing at Ray and then at the silent crowd, all watching Vincent with cold eyes. Attacked, she asked quietly. I just got 5 messages saying you were yelling racist slurs at a waitress. Vincent froze. Whispers began circulating like wildfire. The woman stepped closer. It was Vanessa, his executive assistant. Known for her professionalism and no-nonsense demeanor, her entrance caught everyone off guard. I asked you what happened, she said again, sharper this time. She hit me. Right in public. Call legal, we're suing. No, we're not, Vanessa said, pulling out her device. I've already seen the video. She turned the screen toward him. A teenager's live stream showed the entire incident, his insults, Ray's restraint, and finally, her response. It's hit 2.3 million views in 20 minutes, she said tightly. And the responses aren't in your favor. Vincent opened his mouth but found no reply. They're calling you a racist, an abuser. Sponsors will flee. Your board, who already don't trust you, will vote you out. He looked around, every pair of eyes on him. Phones aimed. A waitress frozen mid-pour. Even the cook had stepped forward. I was provoked, he muttered. No, Vanessa said firmly. You were exposed. She turned to Ray, who stood shaking but collected. I'm sorry for what happened. On behalf of our company, I'd like to speak with you privately, if you're open. Ray swallowed. For the first time since the man's words had cut through her, she felt seen. I'm not after money, she said quietly. I just want to stop being treated like I don't count. You shouldn't be, Vanessa nodded. Then she faced the room. This isn't just about what happened today. It's about what we accept every day. Vincent Taro is stepping down, effective immediately. You can't do that, he gasped. You don't have the power. I do, she replied. I was appointed interim CEO 2 weeks ago. They were watching you. You gave them the proof they required. Silence. Vincent stumbled back, shocked. All this because of a waitress? Not just a waitress, Vanessa said. A woman brave enough to speak up when others stay silent. Ray gripped the counter. The day had begun like any other, just trying to survive another shift. Now, she was at the center of something far greater. You don't have to work here anymore, Vanessa told her gently. You deserve more. I'd like to offer you a role in community outreach and HR. Not charity. We need people like you. Ray's eyes welled up. I don't have a certificate. You have something more valuable, honor. Vincent stormed out, furious, his world crumbling. Ray stood tall, the coffee stain on her uniform still there, but for the first time, her shoulders were lifted with pride. Applause broke out again, this time, not for a kick, but for her bravery. Months later, Ray sat in a bright office overlooking Manhattan's skyline. Her nameplate read, Director of Community Equity and Outreach. She still dropped by the old diner now and then, not to wait, but to remember how far she had come. And when a new waitress entered with nervous eyes and unsure steps, she'd smile and say, Stand tall. You're worth more than you imagine. Because the woman once silenced by prejudice was now shaping policies to protect others from it. And it all started with one powerful moment.